I get attacked because of my faith. I'm Muslim American. My name is Nabila Islam, and they're like, oh, well, we don't need Muslims in government, or you need to get out of our country. Some person told me if I don't keep my tone down, they'll put me in a camp. Donald Trump says something insane, and then like my email, my social media just spikes with hate.
Hopefully this isn't breaking news to you, but 2020 is a major election year, and we here at State of Grace thought it would be a great time to look at how a candidate's religious background is packaged and leveraged during a campaign season. It's no secret that Christianity is the majority religion of our representatives. While Donald Trump has embraced a base of white evangelical support, his administration has perpetuated a hostile environment for non-Christians. In spite of this divisive rhetoric and policy, we're seeing an exciting wave of change in elections at every level. Candidates of minority faiths are running in unprecedented numbers. Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib made history in 2018 when they became the first Muslim women elected to Congress. They're part of a new era of representation that is younger, more progressive, and led by women. These changemakers are forging an unprecedented path to office, literally writing the book on how to run as a non-Christian candidate in America. But while this movement is gaining traction, candidates striving for change in conservative strongholds still face an uphill battle. Meet Nabila Islam.
Make sure you bundle up and we're gonna be knocking on doors.
Nabila is a working-class progressive through and through, advocating for Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, and reproductive justice. She quit her job to run a completely grassroots campaign full-time. A Muslim woman and a daughter of Bangladeshi immigrants, Nabila is seeking to flip Georgia's 7th congressional district and give her home the authentic representation she never saw growing up.
Gwinnett is where I grew up. We have so much diversity. We're actually the 4th most diverse county in the entire country.
But what does a Muslim candidacy look like in a post-Trump election cycle, especially in a county that has been red since 1995?
For so long, we've never had reflective representation of our diversity or values. That's been just very evident by the fact that our community has been left behind.
Is there a position that you hold that is the most controversial when you talk to voters?
I think when I say that ICE has no place in our communities, people are just like, whoa, that's a strong stance.
Right.
ICE has really been such a terror in this community. I am running for office because I really want to give this community a voice it's never had before. No one like me has ever run for office before in Georgia, or there's been very few in the country. This is the FOFIS, our field office, where we strategize and figure out what doors we're gonna knock.
Nice.
And then in here is my office, where I call voters. And
how many hours would you say that you spend on the phone?
At least 40 hours. So
of just the phone?
I've called probably, up to this point, probably over 65, 70,000, made 70,000 phone calls. When I was in the 7th grade, I had a drama teacher that couldn't for the life of him pronounce my name. He was writing out Nabila, and he went Nabillly.
Yeah.
He's like, you're gonna be Billy from now on. When I announced I was gonna run for office, there were a lot of people that are like, oh, you should go by Billy. It's easier to say, it's Southern. People would be like, oh, your name sounds foreign. I'm like, what does that mean though? This country is a land of immigrants. We all have unique names and we're all American. I think Nabila Islam is an American name.
Before a busy day of campaigning, we headed to a local diner to fuel up with Nabila and her parents. Did you grow up in this area, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My mom, the first 5 years of my life, she worked at a Hardee's, flipping burgers, not too far from here. And right there in the corner.
So when you were in high school, were you already thinking about maybe going into politics?
So when I got to college, I was a political science major.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this political science major and get into politics somehow. And then I was given an assignment to interview a person in politics. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go interview my government teacher. He was basically like, well, politics is reserved for people whose parents are wealthy, and so they have all those connections, and it's really hard for women.
Your politics teacher just came in hot, being like, I'm gonna burst your bubble real quick.
That conversation was so pivotal in my life, more so than he will ever know. And I changed my degree to marketing. So like that week, I was like, and I remember thinking to myself, like, well, I'm 18 years old. Like, who am I to break this glass ceiling?
Were you immediately supportive when Nabila was like, I'm going to run for Congress?
Yeah, I'm proud.
Yeah.
Okay, let's rewind. When I got
Wait, she's like, wait a second.
when I got involved in politics, Mom was like, "What are you doing? I came to this country and broke my back to give you an education. You're getting involved in campaigns." My friends actually were like, "I'm not surprised. I saw this coming."
Yeah, I guess the writing was probably on the wall. The race for the 7th district is tight, but Nabila has been building momentum, largely due to her rigorous ground strategy.
We're gonna go canvass, knock on thousands of doors, and get the word out about this campaign. My name is Nabila Islam. Nabila Islam. Nabila Islam.
As a grassroots campaign, Nabila doesn't accept any PAC or corporate money.
I'm running for Congress in this district.
She campaigns full-time,
I wanted to see if you plan on voting on May 19th.
pounding the pavement, meeting voters, shaking hands, and phone banking with a committed team of volunteers.
Hi Gilda, my name is Nabila Islam. I'm running for U.S. Congress. Wanted to see what are some issues that you both care about.
Education, good teachers. Yeah.
Well, in Congress, we'll be able to use our budgeting powers to make sure that all schools receive equal funding.
We'll be supporting you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck with the election.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Nabila constantly engages in one-on-one conversations with constituents and has to be prepared to address any and all questions as they relate to her policies or her personal life, including questions about her faith. Has it been an issue that people want to discuss your faith?
My name is a statement in of itself. So it comes up. You'll have some people be like, that's great, we need more Muslims in office. Or you might have someone that is just like, I'm a Christian first. And so they're not open to the idea of a person of Muslim faith being in office.
I'm struck by the extreme double standard Nabila is up against just by virtue of belonging to a religion that is not Christianity. We don't see that same level of scrutiny applied to candidates who advertise their Christian affiliation. I went to speak with Dr. Andra Gillespie, a political analyst and election expert, to get a better understanding of the origins of white evangelical influence within politics. Has it always been the way that white evangelicals have been so tightly affiliated with the Republican Party?
By the end of the 1970s, we start to see the rise of Christian political groups that are mobilizing around social issues. So they're mobilizing around abortion, they're mobilizing around gay rights.
Faith is a branding thing for a candidate. We're just seeing how that is totally different between like a Mike Pence, Donald Trump versus any candidate on the Democratic side.
While President Trump has more tenuous ties to evangelical Christianity, he recognized that white evangelicals were the base of the Republican Party. It was an important base vote, and in order to keep them happy, he needs to be able to provide things for them. What Trump is doing is saying, despite all the noise, despite all the allegations of corruption, despite the immoral behavior, I'm giving you everything that you want, so therefore you have no choice but to vote for me.
Andra's right. Trump's success in securing the evangelical vote seems both calculated and confusing. To better understand the nuance of his supporters, we spoke with Lisa Babbage, an evangelical whose values are strongly guided by her faith, and as such, she avidly supports Donald Trump. Lisa is also running for Congress on the Republican ticket. What role do you think faith plays in a voter choosing who they'll vote for?
I really think it should be, the most influence possible.
Wow,
I do.
okay.
I do. Now, I'm not an authority on every religion. If you are a Christ follower and you call yourself a Christian, then your vote should include those things that Christ prescribed as how a government should run.
Do you feel as though your Christian values are reflected in what you see in the Trump administration right now?
There's a way Christians are classified, biblically speaking. You have your infancy stage, you have your toddler stage, your adolescence, and so on. I would say that, yes, we see infancy Christian behavior coming from the White House. And so that's where I see a lot of room for growth. I mean, President Trump has not been a Christian his entire life. He's the first one to say that. And so I miss the boat on a regular basis. I expect him to miss it as well.
Lisa and I talked for a long time about her belief in social justice and equality and areas for growth within the Republican Party. But her support for the Trump administration was unwavering, and it seemed to me heavily influenced by a common faith. This attitude is reflected in so many right-leaning voters who are willing to overlook Trump's most troubling behaviors because of a perceived foundation in Christianity. But where does that leave us in our political process?
I mean, I think in particular for Muslims after 9/11, there is the specter of Islamophobia.
Will voters, because of the package of a Muslim woman, will some voters be dissuaded to vote for her even if they agree with all the messages?
There's certainly a privilege here that
Right.
privileges Christian candidates. For somebody who is not Christian, I mean, they are in the socially more disadvantaged position. We're seeing more people run for office. We're seeing more people put themselves out there, and these folks are on the vanguard of writing the book for how one presents themselves as a candidate of faith in a predominantly Christian environment.
Many of us are struggling. Many of us are from the working class. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, you're brown, you're gay, you're queer, you're straight, you're trans, you're cis, you're gender non-conforming. It doesn't matter what economic background you come from. She fought for those migrant families at the border. She fought for trans people's rights here in this state, in this conservative state. That's the kind of bold, progressive leadership that we need.
Back at Nabila's campaign headquarters, the energy was electric. People of all faiths, races, and backgrounds showed up to support and canvass for Nabila in their neighborhoods.
Democratic socialism seeks to do what the Bible said, to redistribute the wealth that is laid up for the wicked to the just. Democratic socialism seeks to feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, and to care for the sick. The politics of love is what Jesus preached when he said that health care was a human right, that whosoever was seeking healing should be healed. That's the politics of love. I want to introduce you to Nabila Islam!
Growing up here, I never saw anyone that looked like us at the table. Anyone that reflected our values or our diversity. And because of conservative ideologies, our community has been left behind. We are tired of the same old politics that tell us to just wait a little bit longer. Not yet. We're tired of incrementalism. We want change now. Let's take all of our love and all of our heart. Everyone into our love movement.
In many ways, Nabila's campaign kicked into a new gear just as our time together came to a close.
Nabila!
Hi, assalamu alaikum. How are you? Good.
As she continues to earn endorsements, public support, and recognition, I'm honestly on pins and needles as we approach Election Day this spring. It's not hard to feel invested in someone so committed to giving their district not only the representation it deserves, but representation they've never had before.
She was the youngest person ever in Virginia, in Virginia to ever get elected.
During this tumultuous time in American politics, Nabila is on the front lines of challenging a broken system.
I've always wanted to be a public servant, ever since I was a little girl. I just never thought I was electable because my name is Nabila Islam, and I just thought people would be not ready for that. I think people around the country want to see themselves in their elected officials. The country's ready for representation.
Thank you for watching Refinery29. For more videos, click here, and to subscribe, click here.